Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to our presentation on applying for licensure with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment's Gamete Bank and Fertility Clinic program. In this presentation, we will review everything you need to prepare your application for licensure, including paying a licensing fee, gathering and submitting required supplemental documents, filling out the application form, maintaining communication with the program, and using resources available on our website to support you throughout the process. Before you begin filling out an application form, it is important to thoroughly review the instructions for applying for licensure, ensuring you have prepared all the supporting documentation and have them ready for submission. Submitting an incomplete application will result in delays and fees will not be refunded. There are 4 steps in the application process. First, you need to pay the licensing fee. Next, you need to gather your supporting documentation. After that, you can fill out the application form and submit it along with all supporting documentation. Finally, the corporate officer, general partner, or sole proprietor will be emailed a copy of the completed application form along with a signature page, which they will need to sign and send back to us. Let's review how to pay the application fee. Fees must be paid first, and the payment receipt must be attached to your application, so be sure to save a copy. It is extremely important to follow all instructions when submitting the application fee to ensure the program receives your payment and can proceed with processing your application. A $500 fee is required for each service category listed on the application, which are Gamete Bank, Fertility Clinic, and/or Gamete Agency. If you are unclear about which category to list on your application, reach out to the program and we can assist in determining the appropriate category. Finally, be sure to enter DP19 in the invoice number field when submitting payment and then attach a copy of your payment receipt to your application. There are several documents that must be submitted with your application. We'll review how to prepare each of these documents and how to locate guidance documents on our website to assist you. There are several documents that all entities must submit with their application and 2 additional documents that only certain entities will need to submit. All of them should be prepared in advance before you start filling out the application form. All facilities must submit a copy of the application fee payment receipt, a completed self-inspection checklist, a written plan to maintain records in case of bankruptcy, dissolution, or insolvency, a signed attestation of legal history, your manual of policies and procedures, and a chart that shows the employment structure of your organization. All applications must have these documents attached. If your entity has more than one partner or officer with at least 10% ownership, you must also submit a list of additional partners and corporate officers. Facilities that use their own educational materials as opposed to the CDPHE provided materials will also need to submit copies of their materials for approval. Rule requires all entities to submit with their application a written plan for bankruptcy, insolvency, or dissolution that describes how records held by your facility will be permanently maintained in the event your facility ceases operations. The plan may include identification of a named entity that will receive and maintain the records, but this is not required when submitting a plan with your application. Your facility would only need to name a receiving facility at the time of implementing the dissolution plan. The guidance document for creating a plan for bankruptcy, dissolution, or insolvency includes useful information for writing this plan, as well as an example of what a plan might look like. The self-inspection checklist is a tool designed to help ensure your procedures contain the specific information required by rule. This checklist must be completed and submitted with your application, along with your manual policies and procedures listed in the document. The left-hand column of the checklist contains detailed information of each rule requirement, a hyperlink to the rule, and specific information that must be described in detail within each procedure. In the right-hand column, you will need to list the title and section or page number of your specific procedure that meets the requirement. For some sections, it might be necessary to list multiple procedures. Just remember to include the title and section or page number of each separate procedure. All applicants must submit a signed attestation of legal history informing the department of any felonies or misdemeanors involving moral turpitude, denials, revocations, or suspensions of a state license or federal certification, judgments or convictions resulting from substandard care or healthcare fraud of a health facility, or convictions or civil liabilities under Section 13-21-132 CRS concerning the misuse of human reproductive materials. Any affirmative responses on the form require additional documentation to be submitted with the application. The form must be signed by an owner or chief administrator and submitted with your application. Providing false or misleading information may result in the suspension, denial, or revocation of license. Facilities may use the educational materials developed by CDPHE, which can be downloaded from our website. Facilities may choose to use their own materials as long as the materials cover the same topics as CDPHE's materials as required in Section 25-57-108 CRS. Any facilities using CDPHE's materials do not need to submit the educational materials. However, facilities who are using their own educational materials must provide these materials with the application to be reviewed and approved by the program. Once you have prepared all of your supplemental documentation and paid the application fee, you are ready to submit your application. Access the electronic application form from the program's website. Ensure you have all the required documentation completed and ready to upload it, as once the application is started, it cannot be saved to return later. After you have entered your entity's name, address, and other general information, you'll need to select your organization's entity type or types. This should have been previously determined when paying your application fee. The fee amount listed on your receipt should match the amount shown on the form after selecting the appropriate entity types for your organization. A fee of $500 is required for each category selected on the application. Performing transactions or procedures corresponding to a type that was not indicated on your application is considered a violation of rule. Nonprofit organizations are exempt from application fees, and this may be noted on the application. Next, you'll need to indicate the type of ownership and business of your organization. Sole proprietors do not need to provide anything additional in this section, and they will enter the sole proprietor's information in the following fields. Entities that are a partnership or corporation must attach with their application a list of all corporate officers or partners who have at least 10% ownership in the company. The attachment must include the names, addresses, and phone numbers of all individuals listed. Entities may fill out the template provided or submit one of their own formatting. The next two sections request information about the corporate officer, general partner, or sole proprietor, and the entity administrator. In the first section, you need to provide information of either the sole proprietor or of the primary partner or corporate officer who is responsible for the facility's compliance with rule requirements and is designated to sign the application. The entity administrator is the person responsible for day-to-day administration of the facility, who is likely filling out the application on behalf of the primary owner. This will be the program's main point of contact regarding application questions, scheduling inspections, and other information communication. Each licensed entity must carry insurance coverage that is relevant and required in accordance with Colorado law and industry best practice. This attestation is required by rule, but you do not need to submit copies of your facility's insurance coverage. The attestation may be signed by either the primary owner or the administrator. Before uploading your supplemental documentation, make sure each document is clearly labeled. Here you can see examples of what appropriate document labeling looks like. The document name should include your entity's name and a clear descriptor of the document it represents. There are two ways to attach supporting documentation files to your application. The preferred method is to drag and drop attachments to the file upload box. Note that you can only attach 10 files with your application, so if you have more than 10 files to upload, you will need to submit a compressed file folder. Alternatively, you may provide a link to a cloud-based storage drive that contains all of your application supporting documents. Be sure you have granted the Gamete Bank program with permission to view the drive and its documents before submitting the application, and that the access remains active throughout the entirety of the licensing process. We must also be able to download all documents from the provided link. Before submitting the application, a series of checkboxes will appear to confirm you have completed all the required sections. Each checkbox must be marked for the application to be complete. Upon submitting the application, a signature page will be automatically sent to the email address of the primary owner, partner, officer, as was indicated above. The administrator or other party filling out the application will not automatically receive a copy. So if you wish to have a copy sent to an additional email address, you should check the box stating "Send me a copy of my responses" and provide the email in the box. Once you're certain the application is complete, hit Submit. Once you have submitted the application, the primary owner, partner, or officer, as indicated on the application, will receive an email requesting they review and sign the application. Be sure to let them know that they need to keep an eye out for this and sign it in a timely manner, as the program cannot proceed with processing the application until we have received the signature back from them. Once they receive the email, the primary owner will need to click the Open Request link to access a copy of the application and the signature page. The Open Request link takes you to the Smartsheet page where you can review and edit the application information if necessary, and access and download the signature page. From this page, scroll down to the blue attachment hyperlinks and select the document titled Gamete Bank and Fertility Clinic Program Application Signature Page, Unsigned, which is highlighted in yellow here, and download it to your computer to print and sign or digitally sign in Adobe. To digitally sign the application signature page, open the document in Adobe Acrobat Reader, click on the signature box to electronically sign the document, rename, and save the file. Note that the document cannot be digitally signed in the browser. You must open it in Adobe to access the digital signature function. Return to the application request and click on the Upload Files box. Select the signed application document from your computer and attach the file to the application. A green check mark will appear when the file has been attached. Once you see the green check mark, click the Submit Update box to submit the signed application document. Your application will not be reviewed until this signature step has been completed. Once the signature is received, the application will be reviewed to verify that the application information is complete and the required documents are attached. For further information regarding inspections, refer to the inspection preparation videos on our website. We primarily communicate through emails with the entity administrator and corporate owner, general partner, or sole proprietor listed on the application. For this reason, it is very important that you notify us of any changes to this role or to the email addresses provided on your application. Failure to do so may result in missing important communication from us. Our program uses a software called Smartsheet to track and process applications. Email is the primary method of communication with you, So it is important to pay attention to emails received from the program, including emails that come from Smartsheet. Smartsheet sends emails that contain important information and instructions that need to be followed to process your application. Failure to follow these instructions may result in delays in processing your application or missing a notice of inspection. Be sure to check your spam folder and adjust filters as needed to ensure you receive all correspondence. Thank you for watching this presentation. We hope the information was provided was helpful. If you have any questions, email the program at the email address in this slide.